You take two ends, or sorry, the two rings. Just put the strap through the two rings and then come over the top of the first ring back into the second. And that will lock it. But you can also pull the loose end and it shortens. So leave it long, because what we're going to do at the end of class, we're going to go into a bound butterfly. So bound butterfly, you will be seated. And you want to make a big circle out of your strap. And you can bring it around your back so that it's just above your hips. And it comes out in front. And then for butterfly, your soles will be together and your knees out. And all you do is you just capture your feet. And then what you will be doing is you'll be shortening the strap. And your two blocks. Okay, so you can stand up and take a look here. Because this is not self-evident. You can walk up here. But anyway, so the two blocks are going to be, one is going to be underneath your shoulder blades, right up here. So you'll come down, and then we'll have another block go underneath your head. And you can tighten this or loosen it so that your legs aren't going to be bouncing in the air. They're going to be held up by your feet because your feet can't move. And this can be really relaxing. But the best part of all is when your arms are stretched out, this is right underneath your shoulder blades, so that your arms can drop right off of your shoulder sockets. And that will give you a great stretch across your chest, and it will relieve all those muscles. All your muscles can release here. It really does. Okay, we also need straps for, now that I showed that, I can give this away. Is okay. Okay. I have two more straps because we're going to need just a straight strap. So does anybody else not have any strap at all? Okay, good. And then I wanted to ask, I haven't done this in quite a while, actually, since COVID started, but are there poses that I haven't done very often that you like to do and would like to do more of? Now's your time. Any poses that you don't want to do? I'll write those down. Saddle, okay.
I don't even know if I pigeon, but I like pigeon. I like this.
Okay.
I've been doing them, so. And then,
Okay, so swan. Yeah.
Thank you. Go back.
Any kind of hip openers are always nice.
Hip openers, yeah.
Yes.
Well, you'll get a couple of those today. Anything else?
What you like or don't like, which one you're like.
Either.
Is it the reverse swan where you got the block under your sacrum and you're coming up?
Yeah, revolve or reclining swan.
That's a good one.
Yeah, okay. And you can do that whenever, you know, I suggest doing a swan or deer. Or even today when we do double swan. So use your judgment. The target of swan is your glutes and your hip sockets. So the best way for you to get into those is only you know for sure. So.
Also,
Yeah, go ahead.
threading the needle.
Thread the needle?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's right on the shoulder.
I have a quick one about
Sure.
balance.
Yes.
A lot of times we do it when we first get here.
Yeah.
Is there a reason for that, or could we do it at the end when we're warmed up and focused? Because
Interesting question.
I do some balance in other yogas, and it's usually way at the end, and then it's a little more eventful.
Well, that's in a hatha class where the object is to get you warmed up, and then it's just part of the sequence. In yin, you know, try to keep you as calm and relaxed as you can get, and you're not really warming anything up.
True.
You are
But you're-
working those
You're
muscles.
focused. We're a lot more focused at the end of the class. I don't know. It's
Okay,
worth a
well,
try.
I will think about that.
Okay.
I will think about that. Okay. Another item is I was requested to extend this class by starting at getting my contract starting at 5 o'clock rather than 5:30 because I was encroaching on space before. And is there any benefit just to start at 5 o'clock and then be done at 6:15? Okay.
And that's what it says in the practice.
Well, that's only because the Rec News does not have a 1 and a 5 or a 4 and a 5 that they can put into the paper. They run out of those every week. Okay,
So what time is it supposed to start, really? I thought it started.
it's 5:15. That's the time that I started this class, going all the way back to 2017 in May, when we added the balance. So,
So
okay,
you are gonna change the time?
yeah, I will let you know when,
Okay.
but it will be sooner rather than later.
Yeah, so it's You're not when I call it.
Oh, yeah, they're completely oblivious. Yes,
Did you
Richard.
have class on Saturday or something?
Do I?
Will you?
Will I?
That would be great.
I won't. No. Three classes is plenty.
But thank you for asking. Thank you.
But I am also recording it, putting them on YouTube.
Are we watching it?
Yeah, on YouTube.
Yeah, we did the YouTube on Saturday, one of your faculties. It was nice.
Good. Okay. All right. So now's the time to start. So why don't we all get up? I already started the recording here. Need to. Boy, it's hard to see. Okay, my name is Clint, and this is Yin Yoga Balance. Welcome. Okay, so today what we're going to do, we're going to use something each of you do every single day, and that's walk. But we're going to use that to balance. And there's going to be a question and answer. It'll be pass fail. And all of you have the opportunity to answer. So if one person gets it right, then everybody passes. So anyway, if you start at the back of your mat, and you're coming forward, just take some slow steps forward, just regular steps. Watch where you're walking, and then just back up. And you know that you're balancing every time that foot comes up. So take a step and lift that foot. And notice here, don't put that foot down. Can anyone tell me what major muscles are engaged? And Priscilla, you can't say anything.
Ankle.
Yeah, core, abs.
Well, that's right, your calves.
Abs. Yes.
Oh, your abs, yes, absolutely. Your rectus abdominis.
Core.
Your glutes, great. Great. Okay, what goes along, what are the counter muscles to your abdominals? Your lower back, that's correct. Those are your thoracolumbar muscles. And those muscles, step up here. Those muscles go from the top of your pelvis alongside your spine all the way up, and two of those little muscles come all the way up to your skull. And they widen out and come down also. And going all the way around your body is fascia, tying your abs to your back. And does anyone know where your abs are attached? Okay, your lower ribs, and then they come up to your sternum, that pretend bone. And then on the bottom, it's your pubic bone. And because of the other muscles, your obliques that come in through, that's what gives the six pack that everyone here has. Some of us have more than six, right? But anyway, okay, so yes, okay, take a step and just lift that foot up and consciously engage your abs. And use your hands, feel that they're engaged. It's kind of hard to feel your back, but whatever's going on the front side, there's something going on the back side. So just reach down and feel your glutes. And you may be surprised, but engage the glutes on the left even more. And notice, do you get steadier? You probably do. Take another step forward. And then the other side. Now remember, you can lift your toes and spread them wide. Find a place on the floor that's not moving. But when you engage your core, that steadies up most of your body and makes it easier for your ankles to make those adjustments in your glutes, in your quads. Okay, step back with the other foot. When you come up, pause. And then go and engage. That's the most important thing to learn here. Balance is strength, flexibility, and practice. Step back with the other foot. To make this more fun, lift your knee up. And what are you engaging now when you lift that knee up?
Sores.
Your hip flexors, yes. And also more of your quads. And then just bring that out to the side. And the more you engage those muscles, the more likely it is that you're stable. And then step down, step that out. Step forward with that other leg. Pause there. And lift that knee up. And have you ever noticed how when you're not paying attention, it's harder to balance? And bring that knee out to the side. Bring it back to center and step it down. Okay, now come to Tatasana. Get your feet hip width apart. Lift your toes. Bring your toes down. Isometrically drag your feet toward one another. Firing up those muscles. Rotate your upper inner thighs towards the back. Tuck your tailbone under. Lift your chest high. Engage your core. Lift your shoulders up. Roll the shoulder blades back and down. Take the crown of your head up towards the ceiling. Tuck your chin in just a little bit so that your gaze is off towards that horizon or someplace on the floor. And then bring the weight into your left foot and lift your right sole up 1 inch. Inhale, bring your sole forward. Maybe you can bring it up to eye level. We did this in the Ashtanga class yesterday. And I think this is the pose that everybody hates the most.
Sure.
And from here, maybe you can go right into tree pose. And the interesting thing about tree pose is when you start shaking and rocking and rolling, sometimes the more pressure you can put on that thigh with your heel, the more stability you have. We're all lucky that today is only practice. And then on an exhale, release. Back to Tatasana. Weight into your right foot. Lift the left foot up an inch and then just bring that sole forward. Keeping your legs straightish. What major muscles are you using to lift your leg here? Primarily your psoas, but for keeping your ankles out there, it's your quads. And then come into tree. Just don't put your foot on top of your knee. Push into your knee. And then release. Step that out. Maybe make some circles with your hips here. Jill, do you have a set?
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to start in a regular seated position. Let's use a block, or if you wish, you don't have to. Your legs can be crossed or straight. If you use a block, you can sit on the front edge and actually get the block to start to tip forward. That will help your pelvis tilt forward. And when that happens, your knees can come down closer to the mat, getting below your hip points, so that your groins can release. From here, straighten your spine, lift the crown of your head up towards the ceiling, and tuck your chin. You can rest your hands on your knees or in your lap. Allow your eyes to close. Take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale it out through your nose. Take another cleansing breath in through your nose, out through your nose. And let your breath come to its own natural rhythm, in and out through your nose. Feel where the air is going in your lungs. Is it going down deep to the bottoms of your lungs? Is it going into your ribs? Or just the top of your lungs? If this is the breath that you normally use, that's good. There's nothing you have to do to change it or improve it. But use your breath as a tool to occupy your thinking mind as you let your body do what it can do. And don't allow your mind to interfere. Pretend that you're in Raiders of the Lost Ark and you have to keep the walls of the cave from coming in on you. So push your shoulders wide as those walls start coming in. Feel what's happening to your core. Your body probably straightens up. You push your shoulders out. And now for a breath experiment. Breathe deeply into your upper lungs here on your next inhale. Can you feel that air lifting your collarbones and your upper ribs? Draw your shoulder blades down towards your hips. This is an interesting way to increase the amount of oxygen that you can get into your lungs. On your next exhale, release. And from here, we're going to do a few head rolls. So on your next exhale, bend your head forward with your chin coming towards your chest, but don't push it. And then on your next inhale, bring your ear over towards your right shoulder. And then towards the back as your gaze goes up towards the ceiling. Your ear off to the left shoulder. And then down towards your sternum again. And do a couple more of these, somewhat slowly, but with purpose. And listen to the sounds that are generated as your head rolls. You may hear some snap, crackle, pop. That's the fascia covering those little tiny muscles of your neck. And the next time your chin is down on your chest, pause there. And begin to go the opposite direction. Slowly at first. What you're doing is you're warming up those little muscles and melting away the connections between your fascias. If you don't move to the maximum range of motion at least a few times a week, you'll end up discovering that you get stiffer and stiffer. You can go the other way if you wish. And at some point, you begin to lose mobility. And the next time you come to center, pause. From here, the next pose that we're going to do is Dragonfly. And we're going to do this in 2 stages. Dragonfly is a straddle. So you'll bring your feet out, your legs straightish. Now, you can possibly go to the absolute maximum, like this is for me. I can come forward about this far. So it's wise to reduce that stretch in your groins because you're going deeper than that. So bring your legs a little bit closer together, maybe come in 2, 3, 4 inches on each side. From here, lift your spine tall. And you can be up on a block, use gravity to help you. And then on an exhale, walk your fingers forward and draw your collarbones towards the front of your mat. And at some point, your body will resist and request you to stop. So pause there. And when you do, ensure that the crown of your head is pointed towards the far wall and your gaze is straight down towards the mat. Breathe deeply into your belly. Help use your diaphragm to push your organs out from underneath your rib cage. That will probably make this pose a little more comfortable. The target here is your adductors, all the muscles along the insides of your legs, your groins, which are right up attached at your pubic bone, and your thoracolumbar muscles of your back. Try to soften here. If it helps, just bend your elbows and let your elbows drop. Let your shoulders drop. Your hands will come in significantly, but that's okay. The object here is to relax your body. Because when your body begins to soften, your fascia will take up the stress and the tension of your pose. Listen carefully. On your next inhale, come up about halfway. Stretch your collarbones forward any bit farther. And then fold forward again. This time, allowing your spine to round, allowing your head just to bow forward so that you completely surrender to gravity. If your hands are desirous of pulling on something, just turn your hands upside down so that your palms are facing the ceiling. That will also bring your shoulder blades a little bit closer together. And relieve the tension in your elbow, in your shoulders. Again, you should be feeling this in your groins. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, walk your hands back, sitting upright. Use your hands to bring your legs back together. If you're on a block, carefully remove it. Bring your hands behind your hips and bend your knees, bring your footprints onto the mat. And observe your hips as you begin to windshield wiper your knees from side to side. Notice the relief that you get. Notice where that relief is. And the next time you come to center, pause. From here, sit upright. This next pose is Priscilla's favorite. She's had all kinds of favorites over the years, but this is her current good one. Bend your left knee and bring your shin roughly parallel to the front of your mat. And then bend your right knee. This is double swan. Now, try to get your ankles parallel to each other and maybe stacked. You can use a block to work as a shim if your legs don't come down. Does everyone have blocks? Okay. Remember to bring Okay, so from here, you should be feeling this in your glutes and your hip sockets. And I highly recommend well, first off, because a few of you are new, I have to tell you about the clinical study that was done by my teacher trainer that proved that if your eyes are closed, nobody can see you. So, okay, from here, so allow your eyes to close and turn inside your body. See if you can identify exactly where you feel what's going on in your hips, your hip socket. If it's your knee, you should not have any sensation at all in your knees. And now with your eyes closed, and since nobody can see you, you can easily just use your hands to try to identify on the outside where you feel it on the inside and see how close you are with the way that your mind mapping of your own body is. It may be significantly different than what you think. And use that as a learning tool. And then just allow your arms to rest on your knee for a moment, or your ankles. And if this is just intolerable for you, don't stack your legs. Stay in Sukhasana. Straighten up your spine, lift the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. And then on the next exhale, begin to walk your hands forward. Coming into a forward fold, and doing this slowly, you can feel the sensations changing in your hips. And maybe in your glutes. And again, when your body asks you to pause, pause. Breathe into wherever you feel those sensations most. That will help relieve the tension, will calm the muscles. And if it's really objecting, take a deep cleansing breath. That will lower your blood pressure, reduce your heart rate, and relieve your entire nervous system. Allow your head to fall forward. Allow your spine to round, because this becomes a spine lengthener, one vertebrae at a time. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, walk your hands back. Set your block aside. Make sure you can reach a strap, but use your hands to help your legs come back onto the mat. Push your heels towards the front of the mat, about hip width apart, and then rotate your feet. By rotating your feet, because your knees don't twist, this is the same rotation that your femurs are getting in your hip socket. You're bringing more synovial fluid to that hip socket that is feeling this most. And then come down onto your elbows. Make sure you have a strap handy. All the way down onto your back. Bring your hands up towards the ceiling and then down towards the wall beyond your head, pushing your heels far towards the front of the room and your hands towards the back of the room. And then return your hands down by your hips. Draw your right knee into your chest. Grab it with both hands and draw it in. Now place the middle of your strap on the ball of your foot. And grab each end of your strap with the hand. And then stretch that right foot up towards the ceiling. And push the ceiling away. Push your heel away so that you get a nice stretch on your hamstring. Push your left heel away on the mat. Now try drawing your arms apart, left to right. Like your arms are a bow and your strap is a bowstring. And your leg is the arrow. It just increases the pressure of pulling that leg into your hip socket. And then carefully change your bind into just your right hand. Turn your right foot out about 45 degrees, about 20 degrees. Put your left hand on top of your left thigh. And then slowly bring that right leg out to the side, keeping tension on that leg. If your leg can reach the floor, just increase the pressure, the tension, so that it never does. You can always rest your elbow on the mat or on the floor. And don't be surprised if your leg starts to shake. That's completely normal. That's normal when you're in a pose or in a position that requires some stress on your muscles that your muscles aren't used to. So that your nervous system and your muscles are not on the same wavelength. So they misfire. But after you do this a few more times, they'll become pretty calm and normal. Soften the glutes here. Begin to deepen your breath. Notice your inner thigh, your calf on the leg that's extended. As you begin to bring it back up towards the ceiling. And once you get to the ceiling, pause. Carefully change your bind into your left hand. And then bring your right thumb to your right hip crease. And pushing that foot up onto the ceiling again, draw that right foot off towards the left, maybe 8 or 10 inches, just enough so that you can feel that nice stretch across the outside of your right leg. That's your IT band. If you wish, you can just draw your hand up along the outside of that leg and feel all the way from just about your hip socket down your leg to the top of your tibia, where your IT band terminates. And then raise that leg back up towards the ceiling. When you're ready, bend the knee, draw it into your chest, release your bind. When you're ready, draw the knee into your chest. Draw the left knee into your chest. Rock from left to right. And maybe you want to make circles on the ceiling with your knees. Either is fine. In the next position that we have is a seated position. So maybe the easiest way to get there is to cross your ankles and roll frontwards to backwards until you rise all the way up. And now we're ready for caterpillar. Caterpillar in Hatha is Dandasana. So you can be on a block again. Frankly, I think blocks are the best invention yoga's had in 6,000 years. But that just gives a little bit more work that gravity doesn't have to do. So sit up tall. Your legs are straight. This is a hamstring and a back stretch. So inhale tall, and then on an exhale, walk your hands out on the outsides of your legs. Again, your collarbones are coming towards your feet. And when your body tells you to stop, pause there. Allow your head to just fall forward. You can round your spine. If you're pulling on your ankles, that's a hatha class or my Ashtanga class. So please don't do it. In Yin, the way that it works is by gravity. If you're pulling on your legs, your other muscles are going to resist. It becomes an isometric exercise. And Yin only works when your muscles can relax and transfer the tension into your fascia. Notice if your muscles have softened. Or if they're still fighting you. If they're fighting you, maybe just back up. You can raise up, maybe just touch those muscles that are still engaged, and then stretch forward and sink in, and just melt into the pose. Your toes can bend forward. Your feet can bend forward towards the front of the mat. Whatever works to soften your body, that is the practice of Yin. Change in Yin takes time. First, it takes time for your muscles to soften. Then it takes time for the tension to transfer. Once it's transferred, your fascia gets stimulated. And it takes time for your body to realize which parts are in need of extra growth. So change in Yin is in the dimension of time. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, walk your hands back, raising your chest high. Bring your hands behind your hips again. Bring your footprints onto the mat. Now they can be wider or narrower than they were before. And then when you're ready, rinse your wiper again and observe. Over the 11 years I've been doing Yin, I always enjoyed these counter poses, but I never observed them. What I've discovered is I learn even more when I'm observing how my body recovers. And the next time we come to center, pause. From here, make sure you have a block available. Straighten out your legs. Come down onto your elbows. All the way down onto your back. You grab your block and set it next to your hips. Bend your knees and bring your footprints up next to your sit bones. Your palms are flat on the mat next to your hips. On an inhale, tuck your tailbone under. That will draw your lower back into contact with the mat. And on an inhale, lift your hips up towards the ceiling. You can feel that stretch in your quads and in your hip flexors coming across the front of your pelvis. Stay here for just a moment. And then exhale, come all the way back down. This time, grab your block. Now your block has 3 different dimensions. You can use any dimension underneath your sacrum. The low way is definitely a safe way to go, but have the long dimension going from left to right in the middle of your sacrum. So on an inhale, tuck your tailbone under, lift your hips up, tuck the block in, lower back down. And you don't have to use a block if your body doesn't want it. If you're stable here, you walk your feet out towards the front of the mat. One which is underneath your sacrum so that when the block is underneath your sacrum, then what happens is your weight gets transferred directly into your pelvis. And then goes down into your legs or into your chest. What you're doing here is you're stretching your rectus abdominis, those muscles that you were using to help yourself stay erect during the balance portion. You can feel how it stretches you all the way from your pelvis up to your chest. Soften your glutes. Soften your thighs. If you'd like a little more intensity, you can always bring your arms up towards the ceiling. And then bring them down onto the floor beyond your head. And just let them rest wherever they may fall. But don't let them dangle in the air. Because if your legs or your arms are flopping in the wind, the rest of your body is going to be uneasy and they won't be able to soften. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, bring your arms back down by your side. Begin to walk your footprints up towards your sit bones again. And when you're ready, push the floor away with your feet. Lift up, remove the block, and carefully return your hips to the mat. Draw one knee into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. Bring the other knee in. Maybe point and flex your feet. And rock from left to right. Hopefully you have your strap handy. So bring that strap, just lay it across your chest from left to right. And then release your legs out to the front of the mat. Push your heels away. And then bend your left knee, and draw your left knee into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. Push that right heel towards that far wall. And then place the center of the strap across the ball of your left foot. And place that footprint on the ceiling. And once that's up there, draw your arms apart. This is a bit of a yan pose, a strength building pose, a hatha pose. So you're using the strength of your shoulders to add more weight to your leg as it comes into your hip socket. Your hip socket is the tightest joint in your body, the most reinforced joint in your body. And then carefully change your bind into just your left hand. Turn your left foot out about 15 or 20 degrees. I have a protractor here if you need help. Put your hand on your right hand on top of your right hip. And that hand's job is to make sure that your right hip doesn't come up off of the mat. And then over the course of 5 or 6 breaths, lower that left leg out to the side, keeping it straight, keeping tension there as you're stretching. Your abductors. Rest your elbow on the mat or on the floor. But don't let that leg come all the way down. You want to maintain the weight and tension. Soften your thighs. Soften your left glute. Try breathing into those areas that are resisting. And your next inhale, slowly raise that leg back up towards the ceiling. Pause there. And then using that right hand, make a bind with it. Bring your left thumb to your left hip crease. And then urge that left leg off to the right, maybe only 8 or 10, 12 inches, so that you can feel a nice stretch on the outside of that left leg. And if it's not much, maybe draw that foot a little bit closer towards the wall beyond your head. Getting more tension. And soften those muscles. Don't forget, you can always run a hand over those muscles to give permission, to give tactile approval for your muscles to soften. On your next inhale, raise that foot back up. And then exhale, lower the knee back down towards your chest. Set the strap aside, draw the knee into your chest, give yourself a squeeze. Bring the other knee in, squeeze, and rock from left to right. The next pose is seated again, so you can rock and roll or just turn over onto your right side and use your hand to come up. Over to double swan on the left side now. So don't expect this side to be the same as the other, because you have different experiences. Maybe you have an artificial knee. Maybe you have an artificial hip. Maybe you played football or soccer. But get your right ankle lower, bring your left ankle over the top. Now, your feet can be stacked right on top of one another too. That works. Just don't quite bring your soles together, because we're going to be doing that next. We're at the end. From here, raise your crown of your head up towards the ceiling. Rest your arms on your knee or on your legs somewhere. If you need to use a towel because you have bony feet, do so. Anything to help your body soften. Close your eyes and turn inside. And when you're ready, begin walking your hands forward again and feeling the incremental changes as you come forward. And if there's a particular spot that's hard, linger there. Breathe into it. Even take a deep cleansing breath. That will calm your body, and your nerves will calm down. And then continue when you're ready. Allow your spine to round. Allow your head to fall forward. If your mind becomes busy, note what you're thinking about and just let it pass. Take a deep breath and begin again. Try to stay in the present. And you can do that by focusing on observing how your body is responding, how your body is relaxing or recovering. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, walk your hands back. Rise up. Set your blocks aside. Help your feet forward. Push your heels forward. Bring your hands behind your hips. And then roll your feet from side to side. And then come all the way down onto your back. Walk your feet up towards your sit bones. Draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. The next time you come to center pause, bring your arms out into T. And then lower your knees off to the right. Maybe your eyes can come off towards the left. If your head needs a little more space, maybe move it an inch or an inch and a half to the left. You can always rest your right hand on top of that left knee. Feel this spinal twist. You're being stretched from your right hip to your left shoulder. You feel your pecs, your serratus muscles, your obliques. Your abs. Soften your lower abdomen. If you'd like to change the part of your back that you feel this in, maybe just begin to move your knees towards the bottom of your mat. And notice how the sensations change. Maybe go a little bit farther. Don't go a great deal. And then maybe come back. But stop at that perfect place for you today. This is your practice. If you'd like to get more of a lumbar twist, your knees just have to move closer towards the foot of the mat. If you want it more up in your thoracic spine, bring your knees up closer to your right arm. Do what your body needs you to do. Practice compassion. Begin to deepen your breath. next inhale, bring your knees back to center. And then with your arms out in T, on an exhale, lower your knees off to the left. Maybe you can gaze off to the right. Doesn't matter if your right shoulder is on the mat or not. This is a spinal twist. It's to relieve any tensions that you may have developed during this practice. To relieve tensions that you've harbored over the last few days or week. Try softening your glutes, your lower back. Your thighs. And your lower abdomen. Maybe you can breathe into your right armpit. And maybe if you do, you can feel your ribs expanding and separating, giving your lungs more capacity. Maybe you can feel those muscles around the tops of your hips begin to soften. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, bring your knees back to center. Give yourself a squeeze. Maybe make big circles or rock from left to right. Then to get into bound butterfly, we'll have to be seated so you can rock forwards and backwards. Now get that strap around your feet. Have the loose end close to one of your feet so that you can pull it. You have to get it all the way around your, I no longer have mine, I gave mine up, but loop it around your hips. Around your hips, and then your soles of your feet are together. And then and once it's here, then you can pull this and tighten it up. And then you can bring a block horizontally underneath your shoulder blades or scapula, if you wish, and you can lean back. Have enough slack so that your legs can come down. Come up a little bit. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
It works with that.
Just set the blocks. If you can't get it right, just use the block. Use this. Underneath your shoulder blades. So just stay there. Then bend your feet, your elbows, just hold up. Feet from all the way. Oh, yeah, there you go. That's it. Okay.
Thank you.
This is supposed to be relaxing. Take a deep cleansing breath into your nose. And exhale it out through your nose. And another into your nose. Out through your nose. Take rest. begin to deepen your breath. Bring your awareness back into your space. Bring movement to your fingers and to your toes, to your wrists and to your ankles. When you're ready, carefully lift your head, move the block out from underneath you. Make your way up to a seated position so that you can extricate yourself. Thank you for sharing your yoga practice with me this evening. Thank you for motivating me to teach more. Take the compassion and peace that you practice on your mat with you everywhere you go and share it with your family, your friends, and each person you might meet. Namaste. My name is Clint, and this has been Yin Yoga. Thank you for coming.